Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our webinar programs brought to you by Allego. If you've missed any of this year's webinars, check out our library full of on-demand recordings. Visit allego.com/webinar to learn more. We've got a great topic for you today: how to build your sales enablement strategy, a 30, 60, 90-day guide to building a sales enablement program from scratch. This presentation is being recorded and an on-demand version will be emailed out after this session. My name's Marcus Woodard and I'm your producer for today, coming to you from Charlotte, North Carolina in the US. Right now I'm going to have everybody go into the chat window and let's switch the drop down from hosts and panelists to everyone. And after you do that, let us know where you're tuning in from today. Would love to see people from all over the world chime in. We want to make this as interactive as possible, so add your questions and comments into the chat or the Q&A panel, and we'll do our best to get those answered live. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Peter for a quick intro. Peter, take it away.
Hey, Marcus, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Peter Kyranakis. I lead the account management and the solution consulting team at Allego. I've been working in the technology industry for a little over 20 years now, and I've been leading enablement teams pretty much my entire career, really helping sales and service teams really maximize outcomes around revenue. I'm excited to be here today to give you guys some of the tips and tricks that have helped me and some of our customers at Allego really see benefits of rolling out enablement programs. And I'm super excited to have Lauren Bailey here with me as well to provide some of her insights and take some of your guys' questions today. So Lauren, maybe I'll pass it to you and do a quick introduction.
Thank you very much, sir. Hi, friends. My name is Lauren. My friends call me LB. I spent about half my corporate career running sales teams and half my corporate career running enablement teams. I got a chance to build programs, new hire and otherwise, from scratch around the world for both IBM and SAP, and then popped out of corporate and started my own firm 16 years ago called Factor 8. And we work with folks with enablement teams and revenue teams on those frontline virtual sales skills and frontline management skills. So I've had the distinct honor of helping build hundreds of plans and seeing best practices throughout lots of different companies. And I'm here to share as many tips as possible. If we don't get to everything today, please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm super happy to answer questions there as well. Here we go.
Thanks, Lauren. So real quick, let's do a quick introduction for those who don't know what Allego is, and certainly I want Lauren to give us a little bit of information on Factor 8 as well. So Allego is a comprehensive revenue enablement platform that consolidates training, coaching, content management, and digital selling into one unified platform. So we're very proud of the consistent recognition that we're getting across the industry, and I'll point you to the right because I think we're proud around some of the G2 leadership awards we've received recently in these enablement categories. So
holy cow,
it's one thing for me to tout it, and it's one thing for me to talk about Allego, but I think hearing from your peers and hearing from people that utilize the platform is important. And so I would just encourage you, if you want to learn more about Allego, more than happy for you to reach out to myself, but also encourage you guys to do a little research as well. So Lauren, maybe I'll throw it to you to give us a little bit about Factor 8.
I will, but you have to leave it on the slide for a second because I have to tell you what I love about Allego is that you do all these things in one system instead of three systems. And y'all need to know that as we were building this, I was like, hey, should we throw in a little company credibility slide? And I feel like Marcus and Peter may have overdone it here just a little bit. Just a little credibility. Holy awards, Batman. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I went a different direction through there, but yes, a bit of a brag sheet. We're pretty proud of it.
That was fantastic. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. So I just thought I'd share some logos of different companies we've worked with over the last 16 years, from new hire training to upskilling, career pathing, building management training programs. The thing that you don't see on this slide that is my passion project is helping get more women into enablement leadership and revenue leadership roles. And we do that through Girls Club. So let's jump in and get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Well, we got the first thing up to get all the people moving and participating. We want to do a poll question. So let's talk about how long have you been in your role currently? We'd love to there should be something popping up on your screen. Just select how long you've been in your role currently. We'd love to get to know who we're talking to.
I talk to people, Peter, all the time at conferences and out, in the wild, as they say. And that so often companies that are growing and scaling, they finally hire an enablement person, right? Once they've gotten to 20, 30, 50, 100 people in the company. And that one person is now, holy, right? I've been in the role for 6 months and I'm a team of one. And I know that we were talking about that role and that experience as we're building some of this advice. So I'm eager to see how many folks here are new in their roles and how many are building plans and also bringing experience to it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. If you've
Drum
got
roll,
multiple
please.
screens, it might have shown up on one of the three or 12 or however many you have. It's there, but let's get some fast fingers going. I'll give it another 2 seconds. We got about 80 something percent participation, so I'll go ahead and end it and show it everybody on screen here. Take it
Oh,
away.
great.
Oh, great. So some 3+ years, outstanding. Obviously excited you guys are here, and certainly Lauren and I have thought about this presentation in the sense to not just for those that are new in role, but those that have been around for a while as well. I think these are
I
great
love that.
pointers for everybody. So
This is
definitely
great. We're going to
excited
bring up those. Yeah, we don't have to start from scratch as we do it. I'm so glad we started with that poll. Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. All right, we got one more poll for everybody. Hold on one second before you go, before you start getting distracted. Let's talk about what are your top priorities? I think that's important as well. And it's something that will help kind of craft some of the conversation we have today. So Marcus got the poll up. Go ahead, tell us your top priority. Probably just like me, as I look at all of these, they're probably all up there, but what's your top that you really got to focus on?
And we got the bonus add to chat. What's your ratio of sellers to trainers? That's a good one too. So while
Oh, I
we're
like that one.
waiting on participation, again, might have shown up on a couple different screens. It's there. Go ahead and fill that out and then add to chat. What's your ratio to sellers to trainers? Got about 70% participation so far. I'm gonna give another 15 seconds, make it a minute.
Liliana, you've got a great one. Look at Megan's answer
15 to
right after
1.
you, girl.
There we
Pam's
go.
like, what are you talking about? Ratio? Yeah,
All right,
sales
let's
enablement is
close this
not
out.
training. Good point. I saw that, Melissa. You're so right. You're so right. Right? No matter like what's the ratio, whatever you're calling them. 170, 25.
All right, sales skills development. I don't think
Uh,
that's a
Mm.
one that we definitely see that a lot, and one that I know we're even focused on inside of Allego. So you guys are not alone. There's definitely a lot of focus on that within the industry, and one that uh, hopefully we can talk a little bit about and help you guys today.
Oh, heck yeah. It makes me happy to see that. Can I just be honest? Not just because I sell sales skills for a living, right? But because for so many years it's been all about the tools. And we're suffering as an industry because of that. And now in this rapid AI age, the fact that our enablement teams out there answered skills over tools, that might be the first time in history I've seen that happen. And I feel like that's so important today. So awesome.
All right, so let's jump into it. I think let's get right into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into the enablement program journey. I think the journey is a great way to describe it. It's certainly not a trip. Here's a path, but it's a journey. We're going to learn a lot as we continue to explore how to build these things out and where do we find success. So if you're a team of one or you're a team of many, I think a lot of the things we're going to talk about today are going to allow you to build out better, more impactful, and ultimately drive greater outcomes to the enablement programs that you're creating. So we've broken it down into 3 phases. I think that's the easiest way to kind of get into each of these. And we've kind of put them in 30-day phases as well. So the first phase, we really focus on your planning. So that's your discovery and your alignment. The next phase, we're going to talk about building, where to actually start creating the fundamental elements of your learning program. And then finally, the last 30 days is really focusing on the rollout. We want to make sure we're launching the initiative, we're getting manager engagement, and we're giving the why to the sellers for why we're doing what we're doing.
And Peter, just a note on this, even if you're not new, any new program is going to have these phases, right? And the days are going to be all over the place. People talk about a 90-day plan. And I like that you put 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, because the number one complaint I get from sales leaders, y'all know I live like on the bridge between those two worlds, right? The number one complaint they have about us enablement folks is that it takes too long. So if you're not rolling out close to this time frame, do use it as a guide or a goal. All right, let's jump in, huh?
Let's lay that foundation, Lauren, for them. So I'll
Yep.
kick it to you and let us talk a little bit about that first 30 days and the real focus you want to have in that initial kickoff.
And listen, whether you're new in the job or you're starting a new program or even making changes or upgrades, refreshes to a program, you got to start with your leadership buy-in. And folks, this is where we fail as a people. I'm not kidding. I have a business because sales leaders call us because they don't feel like they've got the partnership with their enablement team. It just happens too often. We feel nervous to start here. We feel nervous going out to them, but it's critical. Okay. So I like to combine the leadership buy-in with the listening tour. Let's talk about what works. Let's talk about what hasn't worked. Go ask for feedback on vendors we've used. Now, as you're doing this, we want to be very careful about not making any promises, right? We want to just take in what's happening. We can use this to resource audit and hit the last one. Also, gather baselines. What metrics are most important? How will we measure success? Really important questions to ask. We have some cheat sheets to help you along the way. But as you're doing this, the reason we brought up resource audit is everyone's going to want you to go faster, right? We've already established that as we looked at the timeline. So what if you didn't have to build it all yourself? Look for resources, folks. What can be outsourced? Where can you find SMEs? Maybe they can help you get there faster. Don't be afraid to ask for those things along the way. All right, Peter, what are you going to add?
Hey, Lauren, I just love the idea of establishing those baselines and linking that to company revenue targets. I think that's so important to drive your why. Sometimes you can get distracted or you get confused. Why are we doing this? What's the purpose of this? I think being able to align to an overall company strategy or company target is certainly helpful, especially when you start to get to the rollout phase and you're starting to think about, okay, how does this matter to my sellers? Why would my managers care? I think that's important.
I love it. I'm going to suggest, folks, that you create yourself a little map of your influencers and your internal clients, right? We know the revenue leader is probably one, a marketing leader, a CEO, a product person, a communications person. Draw yourself a map and then make sure that at least once a month you're meeting with one of those leaders. And for some of us who are new out there, Lexi, this one was for you, all new in enablement. It can be as easy as saying, hey, I'm doing a listening tour, or we're about to refresh the blankety blank program and your feedback's important to me. I'm putting 30 minutes on the calendar for us to discuss. Go in with 3 questions. You're going to be their new favorite person.
Great point. It's certainly not a solo sport. Enablement is not a solo sport. I hear that all the time, and I think it holds true here, especially when you're just starting out, especially when you're just trying to understand what do we have in place today, what are we trying to achieve, and ultimately getting that buy-in from so many different sources is important to help you continue to push through the organization as you get to roll out and as you get to beyond.
And it's part of our needs analysis anyway. We have to know what their goals are. So quit going around the leaders and go right to them, because that's how you're building the relationship and getting the alignment and getting the right priorities and the buy-in along the way.
Great stuff, Lauren. So let's focus on, now that we understand what we need to do our homework, understand where and what we need to achieve from an enablement program. Now let's talk about actually building out the program. We're going to spend a little bit more time on the actual build out of the program, because I think a lot of times people say, okay, once you have the information that you need, just go build a training program and roll it out. We all know it's not that simple at all.
Just overnight. I mean, it's no big deal.
Exactly. Now that you've actually done the homework and you actually understand what you need to achieve, now it's time to build. And this is what you're going to spend that next 30 days really focused on. We've kind of broken that out into 4 additional phases that we can dig into in a little bit more depth. So we really want to think about what kind of design we want to have in place for our new hire program, or even our new enablement program that we want to build. It doesn't just have to be new hire. I know a lot of people immediately go to onboarding and new hire, but it could just be any program you want to get rolled out. And so it's important to think about what kind of methodologies and what kind of engagement you can ultimately utilize within the organization to help build that program. The next thing you need to think about is organizing that content. Think categories, think tagging. That's so important, especially as you go beyond rolling out the program and getting people to re-engage with that information over the course of time. So think about your content library and how that's going to be curated and structured. And then finally, two more pieces. Think about the development of your training modules. This is when we're thinking about micro learning principles. We're thinking about bite-sized consumption. This is really important because you don't want long drawn out engagements that get little or zero impact. You want to make sure it's digestible for your end users. And then finally, think about continuous learning as you're building these programs. You certainly have an objective of getting this information pushed out. At the same time, you want to think about reuse. You want to think about return visits. You want to think about the everboarding aspect of your entire program as well. So think about the continuous learning aspect as you're building out these programs.
So much good stuff. All right, I'm going to come drop a few knowledge bombs in each of these areas as well. The first thing I'm going to say is here you spent 30 days listening and figuring it out and designing, etc. Now we've given you 30 days to build it. And for some of you, you're swallowing your heart. And for others, you're like, hey, yeah, no problem. But I'm telling you right now, your sales leaders, your clients, whoever they are out there, they think you can pull this out of nowhere in 3 days. So set the expectations when you're getting the leadership buy-in. Help them know how long it takes. By the way, also help them know how long good training takes. I don't mean training, I mean good training. The reason they have an enablement team is that them telling people what to do isn't working. But they do not remember that training takes longer than telling. So you're going to want to set the expectation. I'm going to build this for the next 30 days, and then we're going to roll this out. And it's going to look like 2 to 3 hour chunks of time in multiple modules. And the reason for that is, and you just are out there doing a little baby training of your own about what to expect in good training and why that takes longer. So I should have said that during building, but while you're designing it, love that you talked about the micro modules and rolling it out as quickly as possible. I'd like to invite you to build your program with the end in mind, knowing that training should never stop. Training isn't something we did. Training is something we do. I like to build just-in-time training programs, and you can do this whether it's new hire or anything else, okay? As time goes further, think of it like a curve, right? The amount of training a new hire the first few days is high, and then it goes down, but it never stops. So instead of trying to build a 3-week comprehensive new hire training program before flushing it out, what if you built one that was 4 days? And then the next week it was 2 days. And then the next week it was 1 day. And then it was a couple hours every single month, or a comeback program. So don't try to kind of shoot it all and front load it, because we know that doesn't work for retention anyway. If you build it to roll over time, you're rolling it out faster. You have the opportunity to iterate. You keep more attention, and you're setting the expectation that training never stops, and you're going to get hands on those people lots and lots of times. Good. All right. So a couple other things to remember. If this is new and you're new in your company, I cannot stress the importance of class-based hiring. I've seen so many new enablement leaders lose their mind because they're so excited they finally have a trainer, and then they hire one guy every other week and just hand them to you. You'll never build, you'll never get out of the classroom. We have to partner to say, guess what? New hire is going to happen every other month. And that's when we do this, because I need the rest of the time to build the upskilling, the ongoing, the just in time, the management, the whatever else you have to do. Cool. Crowdsourcing materials in that content library. I love how you get that all organized and available for people in Allego. My best practice there is if you want managers to coach what you're doing, build them tools to make it fast and easy to do so. We have top tip takeaways. We have coaching cheat sheets. We have call feedback forms. If you want them to keep it alive, you have to make it easy for them to do it. So, the last thing is quick tip. This helped me so much. When I go out and assess new hire training programs, I notice that they're usually heavy in two areas and lacking in the other three. There are five components of a great training program when you're looking at new hire, especially for salespeople, right? And the two that we see people get down pat are product and systems. I got to teach them Salesforce. I'm going to give them the history of how this damn thing was made, which is usually a little too much, right, Peter? Like, it's not how to sell it. It's like, don't let the product guys do your product training. That's my tip. Like, if they sleep with it under their pillow, they're not good at the sales training portion of it. But what we're missing are the process, right? Remember Schoolhouse Rock, Peter? Like, you're my age. You remember Schoolhouse Rock, like how a bill becomes a law. You have to be able to take them through how to get shit done in your company. Start with the customer. What are the top 5 questions? What are the complaints? What happens after a quote goes to here, goes to there, goes to there, right? Help them understand the process of how things work. Sales skills. I don't care if you're hiring with experience. They don't have experience selling to your customers in your industry in this motion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's almost always missing as well. And then the last piece I see as a great big gaping hole all too often is what I call acumen, whether it's business acumen or industry acumen, right? Understanding and feeling confident in that lingo that your customers are speaking really helps build confidence. And that's going to help increase activity on the sales floor. If you want to help sales leaders hit their goals, increase the confidence of the sellers to get there as quickly as possible. And that comes in the sales skills and the acumen. So as you look at those 5 areas, there are some you can outsource and some you cannot. And that can help you save time in the building. That was like 800 mouthfuls. I will take a breath now. Sorry, everybody.
No,
Peter, any last
great
words?
stuff, Lauren. All great feedback. I love certainly the fact that I've been in organizations where the focus is on product. That's all you're really working on. There's so many other aspects and areas to drill into. And I also love the idea around the manager engagement. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about getting the management engaged because that's such an important portion of any enablement program. And without it, you're sunk. So let me dig in a little bit on the things that we really encourage our customers to think about when they're thinking about building out a training program. And we kind of broke them down into 5 kind of essential components, if you will, to kind of help frame and talk about it. And what I want to do is also talk a little bit about how a tool like Allego can actually help bring some of these things to life. And they're things that we're seeing our enablement professionals see great success within the Allego platform. But I also will say there's other enablement tools out there that I'm sure can help you as well. So I'll preface it that way. So this is just not the Allego pitch. This is also tools in general. So the first and most important, I think, is the knowledge transfer. This is the what you're trying to get across to your team. And so think about micro learning videos and just-in-time content, just like Lauren talked about. It's that just-in-time piece that's so important with that knowledge transfer, knowing that attention spans are limited, knowing that you're not going to get a tremendous amount of mind share. You want them to be able to consume it and go back to it as they need it. That's critically important. The next piece is the skills practice. The role plays and the structured feedback is all great, but it's very difficult to do when you're asking your sellers and your managers to get into that practice. You need a tool that allows you to ultimately complete video role plays with structured scorecards that score them immediately so that they can practice over and over again. You'll get more success with that immediate feedback that your sellers get, and it's not going to bog down your managers to practice those skills in order to execute and get better at delivering that knowledge and information to customers. Next, you want to focus on your certification piece. So we've seen a lot of success inside of Allego customers combining these knowledge checks with manager evaluations of those video submissions to really help sellers get certified, help teams get certified in positioning and mastering the positioning without a huge consumptive effort from your management team. The easier you make it on your manager team, the more likely you are to get engagement and involvement and ultimately reach that success. The coaching frameworks are important, and we're going to spend a little bit of time on coaching frameworks because that's such a critical piece as well. If you don't build it for them, they're not going to create it on their own. So you got to think about the coaching frameworks you're putting in place for your managers and for your team to make that easy to deliver on. And then finally, you got to measure your plans. You got to understand what it is you want to actually be able to show success around. And there's a ton of data out there. There's a ton of tools with a ton of data. It can be mind numbing and it can you kind of get paralyzed with how much data there is. So you really got to think about, okay, what are the data points that are going to help me show ROI and help me show success back towards some of the revenue targets that the organization has. Being able to combine that is huge in thinking about ultimately being able to measure success of an enablement program. So Lauren, I can tell you want to get in there, you're ready to get going. I'm sorry I took a little too longer, but I'll let you have at it.
No. You never listen. I'm the talker of the group, and you're even like you're more from the South than me. So the fact that there you go. I'm actually going to +1 with the next slide because you and I have such similar ways of looking at this. I've just stuck mine in a model that I call bliss, right? So we're going to hit a lot of these same points, and frameworks are beautiful, right? We need more than one. So here we go. We've talked about a lot of this before, but when you really need this to stick, when this isn't a check the box training and you need a behavior change and a shift in performance, use the bliss model. Buy-in is everything, not just on the leadership tour, but at the beginning of the damn training, right? What's in it for them? We got to get them bought into paying attention. Every training we do that is the first step. Okay. Then, of course, like you talked about, the knowledge transfer itself. Most of us have backgrounds in this. We understand how it has to be, right? What's good training, what's bad training, telling doesn't stick, all of those things. And we have to define it. Different groups need different things. Is it live? Is it virtual, right? Is it interactive? Is it instructor led? Different things, different modes. Interaction is the key in good learning. We know this, right? Adult learning theory is the pinnacle of how we get that transference, how we get that recall. Okay. They have to get their hands dirty. They have to apply the concepts. I have assessed new hire training programs where they are doing tools training and people are not on computers. They are showing them the steps in front. What? There are zero odds that anyone's going to remember that. It's like my kid trying to teach me the steps to his video game at the dinner table. My eyes just kind of glaze over. There's no way that's ever going to get retained. So we have to get our hands dirty. And our goal in our learning interaction is to get as high to the right as possible in the Bloom's taxonomy. If that's new to you, print it out and laminate it, okay? It's not just about defining something, it's about being able to apply it. And that's how you get training that sticks. All right, so most of this, if we've been in training for a minute like y'all have, we know. Here's some of my other hot tips. The next part of this is synthesis. When we're looking at a program, again, I'm going to just bash on new hire because that's been our example throughout this, Peter. I got to tell you so often, it's like Monday is product training and Tuesday is systems training, right? And this is orientation day. And we segment, right? I only wish I got to do the job where all I did was data entry today. And then the next day, all I did was talk to customers. And then on Wednesday, I answered product questions. We have to combine the skills together to mimic the job. All right. If you're teaching how to use your CRM system, do it during a role play and time the damn thing because they have to get fast or it's not going to work while they're on the phone with a customer. If you're learning about product, do it in a sales scenario. Use customer questions to make that sing. Could you listen to a recorded call and be in the sandbox system? If you don't have a sandbox system for your tools, go get one now and practice putting that in, right? Using the tools together makes a difference in our brain. If it fires together, it wires together. And I believe wholeheartedly that some of the issue we have with long ramp times is that it takes people time to go grab the right folder from their head. I'm on a call and it's like, oh, I need to go grab that competitive folder. But if I had practiced it all the time during my day to day stuff, see, that's why nesting can be important too. Support is the last S in the model, and this is where you're engaging the managers and the rest of the team. This is where your certification may come in. That's going to tie your buy in all the way through your supportive demonstration of skills. This is where the coaching comes in. This is where you give managers tools to help keep it alive. This is where you fill the knowledge base in Allego. Now, extra credit. If this is really important and it needs to sing, go figure out what your communications strategy is. We're doing a massive rollout with a company here in Phoenix. There's hundreds and hundreds of reps, and we have an assigned person from their communications team. And once a week, they're singing success stories. They're helping us measure the results. They're putting it all together in gorgeous decks to present to the executives. It's like they're an extension of the team and they're making us look really damn good. Obviously, performance targets, compensation, reward, and recognition. If these things aren't aligned to the behavior you're trying to change, training is not going to fix it. And I feel like I need to repeat that. When people get excited about having an enablement team and you've proven yourself to be really good over these years, they start to come to you with everything. And if it's not a training problem, that's going to tarnish your reputation. So take a look at the communication, the expectations that have been set. Are they compensated to actually go sell this new product that your training is supposed to help everybody go and magically start to sell more? Is the reward and recognition aligned more towards selling this thing over that way? And then how can you build what you're rolling out into helping people with career paths? Because that once again is the alignment for people and the buy-in. That's what's in it for them. Our learners today really want that career development and to move up quickly. So what can you take and assemble and build yourself a path? It doesn't have to be perfect, but if it puts them on the road to something, you're going to get a lot more application buy-in, and that means results for you in your training program. What do you got to add, Peter?
No, great stuff, Lauren. I love the Bliss model. I think the visual is great as well. It kind of sticks in your mind and helps you understand that the learning never stops. And I think these are some great pointers where you kind of talked about having something on your desk and being able to look at this model to help remind you. I think a lot of times we get busy, we're running in a lot of different directions, and this kind of helps frame, here's what success looks like, here's the steps I can walk through to get that done. And I think that's very important, especially when you're starting out in new places and you're starting to prove yourself. You want to show you can execute at a very high level, which ultimately will bring to some great things, including some outstanding enablement programs. So thank you, Lauren. All right, guys, we got one more polling question in that we want to get to continue to get interaction. So let's talk about, do you have a spin line per person today in your organization? I thought it was a great question. I thought it was something that would spark a bit of conversation as well. Don't hesitate to add chat and to add your chats and thoughts in there as well. But
I got to tell this story, Peter. Like this is
go, Lauren.
When we were planning this, I had just gotten off a call with a customer, and he said, "You know, LB, I watched you on stage, and it was like 10 years ago, and you asked all of the sales leaders if they had a line item per head for development." Because I knew damn well the answer was no. Folks, you are out there fighting uphill battles without the budgets you need to get shit done. They have a line item for recruiting. They have a line item for travel. They have a line item for tools. They have a line item for reward and recognition. How many have a line item for training? Anyway, he told me that after seeing that, he's done it every year since, and it's made all of the difference, because then he could truly dig in and develop his people year after year, job, company after company. So if you don't have one today, we're going to talk about, like, let's get in there and get yourself one because you need it. Can't wait to see the results.
I think this is a great stat to look at, and I can tell you, I don't have that in the organization I work in today, and I think that's one that we definitely want to bring. So I think it's a great stat.
Yeah,
Marcus, how are we doing on participation?
I expected more out of these folks. You know, maybe everybody's falling asleep. We got about 40% participation before we had
Come
80. So
on.
Oh, come
maybe
on,
they don't
guys.
understand what a spend line is, but a budget for trading, people. Let's
But
get
they
some
may not
answers
know
in there.
too, right? And if you don't
Fair.
know, it's a good thing to go find out.
That's
Yeah.
right. Hopefully
All
it'll
right.
trigger for you. Go
I'm gonna
find
go
out.
Yeah.
ahead and end it. We're at 50%. So
Yeah, I bet if we put I'm not sure, we would be
Yeah, that
back
would
at our
probably get a
89%.
big one. Yeah.
Oh, and look at that.
Okay.
spend line. What is that?
Yeah. Sorry.
70%.
This is something we have to work together as an industry to get out there. Okay. We've got to get it out there. If they're spending $5, $6, $7,000 per person on tools, where is that on training? Right. And let's look at that ratio 1 to 200. They're not taking people development seriously. And now more than ever, that is critical.
Great,
I'm
Lauren.
preaching to the
So
choir.
hopefully,
Yeah.
I love it as a start. It got me thinking when we were talking about preparing for this. I know it's going to get a lot of other people thinking about that as well. And
Let's
bringing
get
that
out
up.
there and
It's
preach.
budget season. It's for a lot of folks. So it's
Get in
time to
there.
start asking those questions for sure. All right. Now we've talked about the initial phase of planning. We've talked about building. Now let's talk about rollout and really start to get into the mechanism of rolling out the enablement program that's been created. So I think it's certainly important to make sure you're aligning with your reps and ensuring they understand the value of what's being asked and ultimately how it impacts them. I think ultimately bringing it back to the reps to understand why and how it impacts them is critically important. But maybe the most single important factor of a successful engagement program is really getting managers involved. And so we all know about the forgetting curve. We all know how important reinforcement is, but without your manager's engagement, the likelihood is extremely low that you're going to have the successful outcome that you're looking for across the team. Lauren, I know there's more there.
You can't say it more clearly than that. And I just watched too many enablement leaders, trainers give up on that. And I want to tell you one thing from my heart. Don't take it personally. Okay. I've been that frontline sales manager, and it is the busiest, hardest job I've ever had. And I run 3 companies now today, to be clear. That was harder. And I didn't have kids, and that was harder. So they're not ignoring you because you're not important. They're not ignoring you because they don't care. They're ignoring you because they are so crazy busy and everybody wants their time. And unfortunately, a knowledge gap is not on fire.
So true. So true.
And everything else in their world is. Yeah. So
what
I'm going to tell you more about how we've done this too. But why don't you hit your next slide first?
Well, no,
And then,
a lot of times everyone just kind of says, go get manager involvement, and they kind of leave it at that. And it's like,
right.
okay, now how do I actually go
How?
get manager engagement? I think that's certainly Lauren and I
Yes.
want to bring that to this group as well. So certainly, and these are in no order because I would actually reorder them a little bit differently if it was up to me. But in my mind, you also want to engage your managers as you're creating the materials, and you want to get their engagement and you want to get their buy-in because you want them to see how it's going to impact their teams, and you want to take their advice and their education around those different pieces to ultimately bring that to the sellers. If it makes sense to the managers, it will make sense to the sellers. So that piece is so important.
It's a mini listening tour, isn't it? And again, I'll remind you, set expectations while you're there. Because what happens in their head is, oh, I need negotiating training. And they never need negotiating training. It's value building, not negotiating. But I need negotiating training. And then that Friday, they're like, well, where the hell is it? Okay. So set expectations.
And then you want to pre-launch your program to your managers. A lot of times we get so excited and we figure out the communication and we kind of bypass the managers, or we include the managers in the program without getting them engaged first. You want to get them engaged first because you want to prepare them to help answer questions, help prepare them to engage and follow up with their teams over and over again. So getting the managers the pre-launch, if you will, is so critically important in getting their engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I would say the building a structure for your managers to coach in is so extremely valuable. If you just go say, hey, managers, we've rolled this out, go coach them on it, the likelihood is exactly zero that you're going to get follow up on that. So help them help themselves by creating some structure around coaching. It makes it easier for them to actually execute it. And ultimately, you'll get more buy-in from there.
In a second, I'm going to show you the tools that we build, and you guys can download these and copy them if you'd like to help the managers. But first, I have to tell you that this idea of getting manager buy-in is one of the hardest things to do, right? And in the 16 years at Factor 8, we have changed how we do this almost annually. And I'm going to tell you what this best practice is now, because when it started, it was, hey, managers, I just had your reps in the class, and here were the 3 things that we taught them. Oh, my husband just brought me coffee. Thank you so much. But now what we do, wait for it, this is amazing. Not just building the content and getting the buying ahead of time. Every time we do a program, we put the managers through training first, and we call it Coach the Coach. Here's like, we have a class called Developing Your Team, which is everything an enablement leader has wanted to take a sales leader by the throat and say, but we were not allowed to do so by HR, right? I mean, we've all heard it. Oh, you just got out of training? Well, forget all of that. Here's what really happens. So helping them say the right things, do the right things, their responsibility in the coaching. Then we show them what we're going to train, and we have them build a plan with us, their coaching plan, on how they're going to support it over the next few months. And then, Peter, if you'll show the next slide, that's where we give them the tools that we've made to make it easy for them. Once they understand the expectations, now it's, hey, and by the way, here it is. We'll just give it to you to make it easy. On the left, these are the most famous 2. The left is the coaching cheat sheet. So even if they didn't come to training, which we do require them to do, here's the cheat sheet of what good looks like. Here's what to look for if they're screwing it up, right? And here are literally questions you can use. You don't have to be a great coach. We're going to put them in your mouth for you. And then give them the scorecard of what good looks like, and make sure, folks, that they've approved this scorecard of what good looks like. If you're using it in new hire training, this is your final grade in a role play, and the manager uses it to score it. So giving them those tools makes all the difference. Then, by the way, we bring them back. We train them ahead of time. We make them come to the rep training, and then we have an accountability and coaching session afterwards. We're going to listen to a call. Our managers are going to score it. They're going to coach it. We're going to coach them on how they did on the coaching of it. It's not one and done, right? Just try to show up having not done any coaching or reinforcement, because we're going to stack rank you against your team, and we're going to show you that you're falling down on this sport of reinforcement and what you're supposed to be doing. So you make coaching the right thing to do, you make it easier, and then you follow up with them about it. Oh, thank you for including this slide, Marcus. This is another little teaching I like to do out to sales leaders, right? I'd like to teach them the difference and why this is critical. And they love the gym analogy because, let's be honest, most of our sales leaders are men. And we help them understand that you can't go to the gym once on a weekend and come out with the 6-pack that you're looking for, right? Training is something that we do often, not something you did, something you do. You got to go a couple times a week to the gym. You got to go a couple times a month into training. And then we help them see the difference between telling, like your e-learning we've been talking about offline there, Kathleen. It's like watching a YouTube video. My kid told me once, I asked him if he wanted skateboard lessons. He got a skateboard for Christmas, right? He was like 12. I said, honey, you want to take some lessons? He goes, no, I already know how to ride. And I thought, well, that's strange because you've had a board for about a minute. He goes, I watched a YouTube video. People think that's training, folks. So if you explain that that's like watching the YouTube class, but then going to a class and doing it and going hands-on and watching what other people are doing, that's what the training is. Their job afterwards is to be the personal trainer, right? Tuck your elbows, crouch down, etc. So when I use this framework, light bulbs go on for managers, right? They also are grateful because without enablement teams, managers are trying to do all 3 of these steps in one, and that's just too much falling on their shoulders. So hopefully these are some tools and skills and frameworks that will help you get the buy-in to get them to get involved.
Great, Lauren. Like we said, this whole presentation is going to be available to those when we get done. So I love the manager framework around coaching. I think that's huge and so important when you're thinking about gathering success when enablement programs, getting your managers involved. So let's talk a little bit about the measure. So now you've done all the work to listen and understand. You've started the rollout now. The measure is such a critical piece and one that really has so many impacts beyond just was this successful or not. Ultimately, you're building your brand, you're building your capabilities, and the measures are such an important part of that. And like I said before, I know there's all kind of tools out there that can sometimes make it difficult to know, okay, what exactly should we measure here to show success? But these are just some of the ones that I've seen the most success around, and kind of keeping it simple is kind of the way I like to go. So just think about how reducing ramp time has an impact on revenue. Think about how increasing win rate has an impact towards revenue. Content utilization is critically important to make sure you're getting people back, they're utilizing what's being produced, and then ultimately, what's the value in reducing turnover? So again, these are just some of the ones that I lean on when it comes to understanding the impact of what you're doing across the organization and being able to kind of bubble that up to in a higher level to kind of tout some of the great things that you've done for the organization, which is so important.
So listen, ramp time ties to new hire, and so few people and companies can measure it. But if you go make best friends right now with your person who owns analytics or dashboarding or whatever that number is, you're basically trying to get how soon did each of the people by class hit their goal or quota, right? That's how we measure ramp time. And reducing ramp time can bring millions back to the organization. I did a study once for Microsoft who thought that their turnover was the problem, right? Ramp time was costing them almost double the turnover problem. So if you can measure that, here's the hard part, right? Especially if you don't have class-based hiring. Hell, even if you do, Bobby, Susie, and Sally all wind up on different teams. And they're used to measuring it by team. So go talk to your reporting person ASAP about trying to get that class-based measurement because it'll make all the difference, right? Getting reps up to speed faster is probably the biggest thing you can do, by the way, to reduce turnover. Getting reps up to speed faster is probably the biggest thing you can do to be a hero to your sales management team. So go get it measured. It's a big one. If you've
So
got
Lauren, I
nothing else
know
available, turnover is the go-to, right, Peter?
so Lauren, I know we've got a couple of other measures as well, looking
Yeah,
at individual roles, because I know that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
piece as well. You can really start to break it down amongst individual roles. So maybe I'll
I'm
have
going to go
you
through
take us
these
through these.
fast. Yeah, like you're going to get these in the download that Marcus and Peter will give you, but and you don't try to measure all of these, but if you're in charge of training BDRs or SDRs, here's about 10 things that are critical to those leaders. If nothing else, write them on your hand so you have them in the meeting. Hey, what's most important to you? Are you looking at like KPI of dial to connect or like the conversion rate per conversation? And they're like, whoa, this person knows what they're talking about. Let's look at the next one is AE, right? It's all kinds of things in here, right? Everybody's got activity, but when we're looking at deal size or close percentage, again, just use this as a cheat sheet. If you go into account managers, very often if customer success has a sales target, those can be similar, right? Your net promoter score is like your satisfaction, but looking at product penetration, account penetration is another one I should have put on here. People love talking about that. And of course, your sales managers. Is anybody measuring that? Tell me in chat if you have a sales management development program because so few of us get there. What's on fire? New hire, then upskilling, then all the launches. By the time you get to managers, you're at year 4 or 5 of trying to build this out, but you can measure that result as well. Back to you, Peter.
No, great stuff, Lauren. So let's talk about we're moving through the first 90 days of a program. This is kind of the extra credit piece of setting yourself up for success beyond 90 days. So once you've established your foundation and you scored some wins, it's time to start scaling. So here's some ideas around thinking about how to continue to increase your impact across your organization. So Think about roles, and are there additional roles that need more programs? Think about the peer learning programs that you can implement as well. Getting best practices from the field is one of the big things we push our customers to do, because sellers want to hear from other sellers, and most sellers want to hear from top sellers. And so that's a big piece and big best practice we push with our customers. I'm getting too excited, Lauren. And then,
You have to
and
be
then,
you have to be the cool one here, Peter, because I've lost it long ago.
you want to think about building your business case for more resourcing. That becomes so important, as you may be a team of one, but ultimately all the ask and all the priorities start to pile up. You want to have data to help back you up in order to push for those resourcing needs. And then ultimately, you want to just continue to get better and better at measuring the success that the programs are having. So continuing to get deeper insights into information is important. That, again, continues to help you understand where the business is going, where are some more programs that can be created, and ultimately continue to show value, your value within the organization.
I love that. I've just got tiny little nuggets to add to this. When you're working with SMEs, when you're working with peers, a little train the trainer goes a long way. Okay. Folks don't know how to incorporate interaction. They don't know how to get up and not just vomit all feeds and feeds, or, all of their expertise onto people. So I used to make the product experts, for instance, at IBM, they had to fill out my presentation to be able to present to the reps, right? And you had to fit it in 4 slides, and here was the categories of what you had to do. That goes a long way. Co-facilitation helps as well. If you're doing something live, don't leave the front of the room so that you can be there and rescue and redirect as needed. Sorry, it's just a fact. I'm also going to tell you that, once again, selling what you're doing comes into this as well. If you're building out tools and programs, the sad truth of the matter is, if you build it, they will not come. You have to constantly be out evangelizing what you're building, why you're building, how it saves them time, what it's going to do for them, the impact you're trying to do. Teach them how to use it. And I fall into this trap all the time. We have like 5,000 tools to make sales managers' jobs easier sitting in our platform that we've called the sales bar, because I have a drinking problem. But they don't use them. Why don't they use them? They don't know they're there. I haven't taught them when to use them. I haven't sold them that this is going to make their jobs faster and easier. So that's about that business case, is thinking about who is your audience and how do you get them to engage.
Great stuff, Lauren. All right, guys, I know we covered a lot today.
Woo!
So here's the summary, just so we can hit it and make it fresh in your mind. So this is the summary of our journey. The journey of creating enablement programs. So here are the 4 takeaways. And Lauren, I'll kick it to you before we end here, so you can add to this. But start with the strategic alignment. That listening tour is so critical and important to start to engage more than just the enablement team. Understanding what has happened today, what are some things that have been successful, and where are some areas that you can continue to push and advance the enablement program within the organization. The second piece is partnering with frontline managers. We hit that pretty hard. I think we all know the importance of it. We gave you some strategies that hopefully you can be helpful, but I find sometimes sales managers can be challenging in of themselves. But I think there's some great tactics there that can help you win engagement with the frontline managers. We know is so important to success. And then immediate wins with long-term vision. That's that I know that's a mouthful, but you want to get the immediate wins as quickly as you can, but at the same time you want to set expectations and make sure you're hitting the overall goals of the program with the expectation you're thinking about everboarding, continuous learning, all the things that go into keeping people coming back and reusing what you've done. And then finally, measure relentlessly. I love this piece. Marcus put it in. I think it's so true. You can never stop that piece. You always want to advance it. And certainly, we all know you can't get paralyzed by it, but it's an important piece to continue. Look at the before and look at the after. Compare and contrast and be able to bring that to light when you start talking about the success that you're having within an organization?
I've got 2+1s on this, Peter. The first one's around measurement. Um, my team knows very, very clearly, like my love language is numbers. And yet we struggle still to get them. And so my suggestion here is don't ever try to measure it retroactively. If you're building a program and they want you to build a program, ask for the numbers. Like that's the gate that they have to win to actually get the program out. Because if you try to do it retroactively, you're going to hear a lot of stories about how this changed and that changed. And yeah, but well, but no, but yeah, but no. Just get them ahead of time. And at the end, you say the training contributed to this uplift and just get rid of all the arguments along the way. The other thing I'm just going to double down on here one more time is please roll it out before it's perfect. Give yourself 30 days at a maximum. The truth is they prefer 3 days. Don't wait until it's perfect because every single day it doesn't roll out, you're losing people. I had this happen with another client. They literally just spent a boatload of money with us. And then the enablement team came to them and said, oh, but we've built this training. And they said, well, we didn't know it was being built. It's not for the audience we're looking for. You pulled it out in a vacuum. It has nothing to do with the results that we need and want. And makes me sad because I've been trying to partner with that enablement team and now we're the bad guys. But that happened because they lived in a vacuum instead of partnering, right? Strategic aligning, rolling it out quickly for the immediate win, and then coming in to measure the results afterwards. So you couldn't have laid this out better, Peter.
Well, Lauren, thank you very much. This was fun. Appreciate everybody listening. Marcus, we'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, so I just added to the chat the resource room. If you want to take out your phone and snap a picture of the QR code, it'll take you right to that room. We've got the slides already in there and a couple free resources for you. I'll get the recording as soon as we're done here. And then do connect with the speakers. Lauren and Peter's
Yes.
LinkedIn links are right within the chat, so connect with them. We do have one question that we're gonna get to. If you had to give one piece of advice, and I'll go to both of you on this, if you had one piece of advice to a solo enablement practitioner starting today, what would it be? Peter, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay, well, great question, by the way. Breaking off too much makes you ineffective across everything. So prioritization is critical when you're a team of one. So I can't stress enough. It's about prioritization and people knowing what your priorities are. If you just take on everything, they're going to be disappointed because they're going to expect turnaround. They're going to want to know why things take so long. So having people understand what your priorities are and making sure that it's clear what are the most important things that are going to impact the organization so that everyone understands what your focus is. And it's not just a black hole that people can throw requests into or needs into. That's so important if you're by yourself and you're working to establish an enablement program in an organization.
So good. So good. I'm going to give my one tip to the chat we just had with Elisa saying, yeah, but leaders don't know what enablement is and how to run it. And you're exactly right. In my last year running global enablement for SAP, my entire job was flying around the world and teaching leaders what enablement meant. What is just-in-time training? How do we build competency? What can you expect out of new hire? What do we need to do ongoing? What does good training look like and why does it take so long? Pick 4 or 5 things that you wish they knew and go freaking teach them. So it's this combination of involving your leaders. You're going to go learn 4 things about their business that are going to help you help them. They're going to learn 4 things about your business. They're going to help them support you. And that's a partnership made in heaven.
Great stuff, Lauren. Totally agree.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. I just want to thank Lauren and Peter again for joining us and going through all of these slides with us. Again, the recording is going to be available as soon as we're done here. I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes. If you've got any questions or comments, add them to the chat and Q&A panel, but I'll let the 2 speakers go for now. So if you guys want to sign off, I'm going to stay on. And
thank you, Lauren.
thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.
Boy Scouts. Thank you. Such a fun audience and following here at Allego. I always appreciate the opportunity to hang with you guys. Appreciate it so much.
Great stuff, everybody. Have a great day.